Hello again and welcome to the Mirror Football podcast. I'm Ian Cruz and joining me around the table today are Daily Mirror Assistant Sports Editor Alan McKinley, 3pm columnist Steve Anglesey and a very special guest, Mirror Football columnist and Derby star Robbie Savage. Robbie, nice to have you with us. Clearly with Robbie here there can only be one place to start this week, and that's with the man himself and his extraordinary night on Wednesday. For any of you who may have missed it, Robbie found himself in goal 4 minutes before half-time against Reading after Stephen Bywater had to go off injured and his replacement Saul Deeney was sent off. Robbie, you've seen many things in your career, that was a first.
Yeah, it was. It's the first time I've ever been in goal in a proper game. The last time I'd done it was, with my brother and his elder mates when I used to, I lived on an estate and, in between the grids on the concrete diving about. That's the first time in a real game. It was quite enjoyable, but I've got to say that I know keepers are mad, but it was, to be a keeper, they are daft and it's the most boring and cold thing I've ever done in my life. I could not be a keeper. It's pathetic, really.
So there's no question when the legs start to go, you'll put the gloves back on and prolong your career that way then?
No, I'd rather retire than be a goalie, I'm afraid, because honestly I was bored.
So have you got more respect or less respect then?
More respect because they say they're a mad bunch and to concentrate because basically you do nothing for, I didn't have a shot to save until about 21 minutes. It was just, what do you do? When you've played out, I suppose it's different if you're growing up being a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But when you've played out and you're going into tackles and stuff, I've got more respect for goalkeepers.
And one of your saves was was a sliding tackle, wasn't it?
Sliding tackle. Yeah, I forgot I had my hands. So yeah, it was enjoyable.
Did you get any special abuse from the Reading fans?
Or, they were laughing.
Was there just the usual level of abuse?
When I've tipped the one over in the top corner, which actually you could have probably got the Daily Mirror under my feet. How I jumped at that. I turned around to when the ball went at the side, I went, it was a great save that one, and they all started laughing. And when the ball got played back to me, I've pinged it with my left foot, and I've turned around and said, "See, I can use both feet," and they were just laughing. It was fun and games, but I couldn't be a goalie.
Too boring. Far too boring.
But for the fan in the stands, of course, seeing an outfield player going goal is a rare treat.
Well, it's only, it's the equivalent of a dog running on the pitch, isn't it? It's absolutely outstanding. It's one of my favourite things. And I saw, at City, I saw a game, I forget the year, but maybe we've got it written down here, but I saw Niall Quinn go in goal. I think he had scored against Derby, and then Tony Coton got sent off. And Niall Quinn went in goal and saved a penalty from Dean Saunders.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the game that put Derby down, actually. I think they had to win and they got beat 2-1 at Main Road. But yeah, he scored and saved a penalty.
It's amazing how often penalties feature with substitute goalkeepers, isn't it?
Generally the goalkeeper gets sent off giving away a penalty, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So.
I guess so, yeah. But the most famous one was probably Bobby Moore saved a penalty, didn't he, in League Cup semi-final replay in 1971, was it?
Yeah.
And then, I think he was so shocked that he got his hand to it. He watched the one, the guy put the rebound in anyway, and West Ham got knocked out. But he was in there and he actually saved a penalty. I was at at a game when there were three goalkeepers, and it was Alvin Martin. It's the same game, and Alvin Martin actually scored a hat trick, which is another remarkable event to see in the same game. And ended up with Peter Beardsley in goal, and all the Newcastle fans were singing England's number one. Well, let's have something to sing about because they lost 8-1.
But Alvin Martin got the hat-trick against three different goalkeepers.
Three different goalkeepers,
keepers, weren't they?
I couldn't remember. I knew Martin Thomas who was a goalkeeper. I couldn't remember the other fella in the middle. It was Chris Hedworth, apparently. Don't know anything about Chris Hedworth, but they had three goalkeepers, and Martin scored against all of them.
To be fair, you'd probably missed the penalty if you Peter Beardsley in goal. You'd scared to death.
Did you, at any point, were you thinking, I hope not the face?
The teeth.
Not that, that could have done a lot of damage, couldn't it? One in the face could have been bad, yeah.
That was the slide tackle, wasn't it? Because I noticed your hands were above your face.
Nowhere near the ball.
Nowhere near the ball.
Just protecting
the dental work. There was obviously, you went goal because Deeney was sent off, giving away a penalty, and the first thing was to try and save a penalty. Now, Shane Long put it over the bar, didn't he? But I reckon you put him off, didn't you?
Well, first and foremost, you've got to feel sorry for Saul Deeney. He's been waiting, I think, 14 years for the chance, and he comes on and goes off on 10 minutes. So it's very unfortunate there. Another good story about keepers there was Peter Anker when I played at Blackburn, and Brad hasn't missed a game for years and years and years. So we played Olympiacos pre-season friendly, and Sparky said to Pete, you can have a chance and have a game here. So we travelled within Austria. Pete goes out and warms up, and in the change room before the game, the lads are saying, it's Pete's first start for age. I hope he doesn't get injured. And it's just God's honest truth. It was thunder and lightning. Anyway, and we said, you hope he doesn't get hit by lightning. Anyway, the physio runs down to the gaffer. Pete's injured. So we thought, no, this can't be right. Anyway, he'd been practicing a crossing before the game, and he's gone for a cross, fell on the so you got the goal, and then you got the goal, the post that go back, like the portable goals you can move. Yeah. He slipped on one of them and done his ankle, and he missed the game. So he'd been waiting all that time, and he got injured in the warm-up. But yeah, I didn't put Shane long off. It was
You've worked with some brilliant goalkeepers, haven't you? But has there been a mad one among them?
Stephen Bywater with now, yeah.
They're all mad, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, Brad Friedel doesn't strike me as being that.
No, very.
Tim Flowers you worked with, didn't you?
Cat's a great guy. Peter Enkelman, he wasn't mad either, really.
No. Neville Southall?
Mad.
Southall's proper mad, isn't he?
Mad. Great guy though. They're all great.
What was Neville Southall's dress sense like?
Horrendous.
Yeah. No, not Armani.
A bit like yours.
Yes, thank you.
For those of you not likely to be able to see this, Steve's sporting a suit by Matalan, we think, today.
I'm better dressed than Robbie
Actually,
Savage.
I thought you looked very smart today.
Yes, not like usual. No, not like usual. But Southall mad, and Stephen Bywater wants to be a cage fighter, doesn't he? When he
got some great stories about him, which I'm saving for my book. But he wants to be a cage fighter, and every away trip we get, he gets his eyebrows plucked in a health spa. It's incredible, really. We were both before the game the night. I was having a facial, and he was having his eyebrows plucked before the Reading game the night before. So.
Is this all part of the transformation to like Jordan's boyfriend? Where you start cross-dressing eventually.
Is that
the secret of cage fighting?
No.
The cage fighting then. That's not one for you, is it? Really, I can't see you in the cage.
No, he's hard as nails. He's from Manchester.
Even though he has his eyebrows plucked.
I think he's from Denton or Gorton.
I wouldn't mention.
He's a hard guy.
No. Yeah. It's a hard. To be fair, Denton and Gorton are on the hard places, aren't they?
Yeah, he's a hard guy.
This is one thing that we always ask to celebrities when they come in. But if all of the managers in the Premiership had a cage fight, who do you think will be the last man standing?
Well, first and foremost, you better find a celebrity to ask. I got to say, Sparky, Mark Hughes would be up there.
Oh, he's out.
He's not in the Premier League.
He's not. Yeah. But his finishing move would have been a thigh crush.
A thigh crush.
Yeah.
He could do you just with his enormous arse, couldn't he? That could knock you right out.
He would be in the Premier League now.
He's not going to knock Sam Allardyce over just with his bum, though, is he? Sam's a big old unit, isn't he? Come on. Yeah. It'd take more than Sparky's arse to knock Sam over.
Moisey could do a bit, I reckon.
He looks like a rat, doesn't he?
Yeah, Moisey.
He wouldn't
sounds
fight,
like it.
He wouldn't fight by any sort of rules, Moyes.
No.
It would be very Glaswegian street fight with him, wouldn't it?
I would have thought so, yeah. I think Moyes and Pulis might be the last two, and then I don't know which way it'd go.
Well, Fergie'd get the red mist, you would think, at some point, wouldn't he? Could do a lot of damage.
He'd go straight off, wouldn't he? He'd go straight off. I can't see Mancini getting involved, can you?
No, Roberto, he's too cool. Too good looking.
Yeah, too good looking.
Not the face. We're back to the penalties again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, moving swiftly along.
Yeah, I mean, let's go away from facials, eyebrow plucking and cage fight a little bit. Talk a little bit about football.
Yeah.
I mean, the other big highlights this week, of course, have been Man United and Arsenal in the Champions League and their thrilling displays. United thrashed Milan 4-0 and Arsenal stuck 5 past Porto the night before. I mean, Steve, we're on course for another English victory in the competition, aren't we?
Well, it looks that way, doesn't it? I mean, if Milan are the second best team in Italy, then it's a shocking state of affairs because they were dreadful last night, and they were not very much better for 70 minutes of the first leg either. What do you think? Is it the?
Well, I'm a big fan of Italian football. I've got to say, going back to being a goalkeeper is boring. Italian football is probably the most boring thing you have to watch, but I think it affects people in different ways. I'm an enthusiast. I like the way they line up the formations. How basically negative they are. I watched the game when Sampdoria were playing Milan and Inter Milan, and Milan had 2 men sent off, and still Sampdoria sat back. And it was incredible. And that's the mentality. They'd rather not lose than win. So it is a boring league. But I'm intrigued by the way they play and the way that the formations, and it is mind blowing really. But it is, as you're saying, if they're the second best team in Italy.
That's not the only difference in attitude, though, is it? The weakness, I think it was pointed out in the commentary last night a couple of times, that the weakness that Milan had was whereas United, when they lost the ball, everybody funneled back, put people under pressure, pressed the ball, which is what the great Milan team, the 1990 used to do. Yeah. They don't do that anymore. And obviously Ronaldinho is the ultimate example of it because he never comes back. But the reason United won was because they were playing 11 against 7 at times, weren't they?
I think it's the same why Real Madrid lost. I think when you've got Kaká and Ronaldo, listen, more ability in the little toes than I have in my whole body, but you know, you've got to have a work ethic about you as well, and I think that's why you hit the nail on the head. That at times last night, Liam would have been playing against 11v8.
Well, when the limited highlights I saw of that game, when Leon had the ball, Madrid didn't really look interested. As soon as Madrid got the ball, you could see them; they were alert and running around, making nice passing movements and running here and there. And then as soon as they lost it, shoulders went down. Oh, we'll have to wait till we get the ball back now. You know.
I watched them against Seville on the Sunday, and they were 2-0 down in that one. Defended very, very poorly, but they got the ball back, and then they won 3-2 in the end with a last-minute goal. They just £200 million spent, but still they got the same problem of they can't defend.
No, that's right. I mean, one man whose commitment you can never question on the pitch is Wayne Rooney. I mean, he took all the plaudits last night after United's win over Milan.
He did until David Beckham put the scarf on.
Well, he did until Beckham put the scarf on, of course. But I mean, he's been helped. I mean, Beckham actually hailed Rooney as the best player in the world last night. I mean, Robbie, give us the pros view on Rooney right now.
Well, I think he is the best player in the world. I think I've watched highlights of Messi this season. It's a toss-up between him and Messi. Who's going to be the best player in the World Cup for me? The thing that Rooney's just, you hope Rooney doesn't get injured. That's his only thing.
But we're all scared to death he's going to get injured again, aren't we?
It can be greatness personified. I think I was doing a thing with Ron Atkinson this morning, going through Man U's best ever team, and we were saying that listen, people's opinions are different. They were saying that Bex wouldn't get in it. And to an extent, the Giggsy wouldn't get in it. His choice was, Bobby Charlton on the left, Ronaldo on the right, and Brian Robson, Roy Keane. So it's but he said Rooney would be in there, and I think that at such an early age, to get in Man U's greatest ever team, which I think he is already, is fantastic. He's a wonderful player.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said before this year that he's come out of Ronaldo's shell. Out of Ronaldo's shadow. Since Ronaldo's gone, he's taken centre stage. But I mean, it's more than that, Macca, isn't it? I mean, he just looks like the player we all thought he was going to be.
The difference between, say, Rooney and Messi and Ronaldo is that, and I think it's quite a significant difference, is that if you look at Ronaldo, you say, oh, he's fantastic at this and the world's greatest at that. But I know he doesn't do this and I know he doesn't do that. The same with Messi. Messi on the ball is probably the greatest player. He's probably the greatest player in the world. But Rooney, he can tackle, can use his right foot, use his left foot, he can head, he shields the ball well, he makes other players better. You can't say that about Messi or Ronaldo. And in the way that, and I hesitate to say this, but in the way that Pele was regarded as the greatest player in the world because he could do everything, that I think that's Rooney's strength. That you can't really see a weakness in his game, and his work ethic is unbelievable.
You could play Rooney right back, left back, anywhere. Yeah, but I don't think you could do the same with Ronaldo or Messi. So I agree with that.
Well, he's the kid in the playground, isn't he? Who just wants to play football.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve, but that, I mean, Macca talked about his heading now, and that's the one thing he seems to have. That first goal last night was his 7th successive headed goal. That's amazing.
I know, and when I did that interview with Rooney shortly before Christmas, I think it was, and we talked about that, and he said that one of the things that he'd done over the summer was he was really conscious that he had to improve his heading. And you can just see the first goal last night it was fantastic. I have got to say that as a Manchester City fan, I am obviously averse to all things Gary Neville, but I thought he was brilliant last night, and that was a brilliant cross. It was a great cross, and he played really well, Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good goal.
In his busy car.
It summed Milan up last night. They stood off Gary Neville, let him have the ball, let him cross it in.
Yeah.
The central defence just stood there and let Rooney get across them. I mean, they looked an ageing
Well, they did.
team,
and I tell you what, you knew that they were going to get hammered in the tunnel when you saw Darren Fletcher and Park in the team, because they were going to outrun them and absolutely
clobber them. When you got Flamini in the team, listen, Flamini had one good season at Arsenal, and he's not really done it at Milan. And when I used to play against the Arsenal team and I seen Flamini in it, I would think it was an understrength Arsenal's team straight away when the team sheet went up in his dressing room. So when I seen Flamini in the team, I thought, Man U will cruise it. Listen, Flamini is a good player, but for me, not on Milan playing.
When you think that Milan bought took Flamini and Senderos from Arsenal, I mean, what does that say about the level of their talent and their ambition and their capability anymore?
Yeah,
they don't look like it at all. Do they?
No. Yeah, I mean, Robbie, a lot was made about Beckham's return last night when you played with him as a kid at United. I mean, if he'd started, say, in place of Flamini, do you think the whole attitude and demeanour of the Milan team would have been different because he would have driven them forward?
I don't think so. I think Beck's, for me, he's a must to go to the World Cup because just what he can provide in the final 20 minutes. I think Beck's now can influence a game like, everybody remembers him for the England-Greece game. I don't think he can influence a game like anymore. Coming on for 20 minutes, if Milan or England need somebody to put that cross in from a dead ball, he's the man. I think there's nobody else in the world that can do that.
Last night he was on for 20 minutes. He put that cross in that that should have been knocked in by Milan centre forward, whose name is just escaping me. Inzaghi, Filippo Inzaghi, yeah, of course, and he should have put that in. He should have. He lives off that kind of stuff, and also he would have scored one of the great goals if it were a yard either side of Van der Sar. He wouldn't have got near it, would he? So I think Robbie's right. For 20 minutes, he's as good as anybody coming on.
Yeah, I mean, and Steve, unless they're drawn together, 2 of the 3 in the semi-finals or quarter-finals, I mean, can you see anything stopping it being? Obviously, we've got Chelsea to play into Milan next week. They're 2-1 down, but can you see anything stopping an All-English Champions League final at the moment? Barcelona, maybe.
Barcelona is the answer. I also don't think that the Inter Chelsea result is a given. But I certainly think United could go. I mean, all the 3 clubs could go all the way. I think Barcelona's it'll probably be them and Barcelona in the semis unless they're drawn together.
Well, Barcelona having a tough time. I watched them against Almeria. They drew 2-2 last Sunday, and they were 2-1 down, 1-0 down, and they've got a lot of injuries. And Real Madrid have overtook them in the league.
Yeah.
So they're not as good as they were this time last year by no means. So, but you just don't want to get drawn against Barcelona. I think if they do, it's a massive game.
And by the same token, they won't want to be drawn with any of the English clubs, will they?
No, definitely not. No, and nobody's talking about Lyon, but Lyon just knocked out Real Madrid and made it look relatively easy. And Lyon at home are one of the great European teams, so it's going to be there. I think they're a good dark horse to spoil the party. I think Lyon. They
have been for a few seasons, haven't they? But they seem to just come up short.
Well, saying that, I think Liverpool went there. When Babel scored in the knockout stage, wasn't it? I think Liverpool should have won that game, but they got equaliser late on.
Yeah.
I thought Liverpool were fantastic that night.
And then they beat Liverpool late on as well. But that's. I mean, again, I can't see the Italian teams doing that, playing to the last minute in the way that Lyon always do. So again, I think that's a strength of that particular French team.
Maybe it'll all boil down to which one of them has to put their central midfielder in goal. What do you think? The Champions League final decided by a sub-goalie. We'll look forward to that. Okay, so just before we finish, Robbie, we've got a few questions from MirrorFootball readers for you, if you don't mind. This one comes from Gary in Caerphilly. Robbie, do you think this young Wales team are now in need of a manager who will motivate and excite them rather than the headmaster type we've got at the moment with John Toshak? Gary suggesting maybe Chris Coleman.
I think my opinions on Tosh are well known, especially my column last week. I think I'm fed up of excuses now. With injuries and suspensions, everybody gets them. I know we're a small nation, but to even think to leave Craig Bellamy out of your squad is, beyond belief. Really, I think the thing is, if I'm Chris Coleman, or if I'm a young up-and-coming manager, would I want to take the Wales job? I don't think I would. I think the players, you're going to be missing Ramsey for about a year. Bellamy can't play twice a week, but he wants to play. I think it's a job which no-win situation, and I think Sparky got it right. He got it right because he spent every single penny they could, and I just think now that the Welsh FA are too bothered in the big games. Like I think they'd be delighted they got drawn against England because that'd be money for them. And I think irrespective if they qualify or not, it's all about, in my opinion, money. And I think with Tosh, he's not in the country very often, and I think he doesn't mind. He's not into having the best food, the best hotels. So I think it's an easy choice for them to keep Tosh. I think why would Chris Coleman want to take it, or why would any young manager want to take the Wales job at the minute?
Fair enough, good points. John James asks, what club did you most enjoy playing for?
It's a difficult question. That was coming out of my book, so I can't really say that one. If I'm being honest, but I've enjoyed them all.
Available in all good books from September.
Please bring in that fence post, somebody. Right. Neil Collinson asks, he suggests about 4 years ago he remembers you telling Alan Hansen on one of his football programmes that a Premier League footballer only needed one contract to set himself up for life. Do you think footballers are overpaid and that the money takes away from their hunger and shortens their career? He's suggesting that seeing you in goal last night suggests that's never been a problem with you, but what about maybe some others?
Well, I think if you're in the Premier League now and you can get one contract, 4-year contract, I think if you, listen, I think the average Premiership wage now will be about 20 grand a week. I think Portsmouth are finding out that if you go to the next level, you can be in serious trouble. So I think teams now will be very, very wary of giving average players 20, 25 grand a week. I think I was fortunate that, being an average player, I had some nice contracts, but I don't think footballers are paid too much. No, what film stars get, and in this country, footballs are bigger than film stars. British film stars. I think they are. So, I think if you're happy what you get as a player, like people say to me, well, when he was at Birmingham, other people were on 30, 35 grand a week. Well, they're saying you should have been on that, but I wasn't too concerned because I was happy with what I got. I'm not concerned what anybody else gets. So I think no, footballers are paid the right types of money. I think it's just when it goes to their head, and we've seen a lot of that recently, where footballers believe they're invisible or bigger than anything out there, and I think that's when it does annoy you really, that they think they can do anything they want.
Okay, very good, thank you. Westy is saying here he's got to get from Blackburn to Birmingham to visit his sick mother. Is he best off going via Wrexham?
Depends what cars he got. In my Lamborghini, tell him it was alright. These in his Fiesta take me ages.
And finally, Eric Hardinball asks, will you please share your most embarrassing on-pitch moment with us?
There's a few. Running out the tunnel, and I was speaking to my mate Murph about how he introduced me to my wife running out the tunnel, Birmingham, Liverpool, and I tripped over the cables and flattened my big nose. That was live on Sky. And then obviously when in the cup final, when I got Justin Edinburgh sent off, and Martin O'Neill took me off with a minute left, and as I've blew my nose, big piece of snot was dangling down, and it was on the cameras, and the size of my nose, it was a huge piece of snot. So that's in the archives. So them are probably the two.
Okay, it's a brilliant way to finish. Thanks a lot, Robbie. That's it from the Mirror Football podcast this week. Thanks to Steve, thanks to Alan, particular thanks to Robbie, and we'll be back next week. Please join us then.